You all please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Can I get a roll call?
Mr. Andriano?
Here.
Mr. Robin?
Here.
Ms. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Williams?
Here. Counselor, would you like to read the public notice for the second time?
Yes. Legal notice, October 24, 2019. Notice of budget hearing, Town of Patterson, 1142 Route 311, Patterson, New York. Notice is hereby given that the Town Board of the Town of Patterson, Putnam County, New York, will continue the public hearing on the preliminary budget for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2020, on Wednesday, November 6, 2019, at 7 p.m., or as soon thereafter as can be heard. And at that time, any interested person shall have the opportunity to be heard. The public hearing on the preliminary budget was opened on October 23, 2019, and continued by motion of the Town Board duly made and adopted at its regular meeting on October 23, 2019. This notice is being given due to a typographical error in the notice of the October 23, 2019 public hearing, which referred to consideration of the preliminary budget for, quote, fiscal year 2019, end quote. Pursuant to Section 108 of the Town Law, proposed salaries of certain town officers are hereby specified as follows. Supervisor, Budget Officer, $95,628. Town Clerk, Registrar, $73,653. Town Board, 3 members, $20,124 each. Deputy Supervisor, $22,581. Justices, 2, $37,128 each. Highway Superintendent and Refuse Administrator, $111,581. Receiver of Taxes, $66,079. Certain of those include all stipends. A copy of the preliminary budget is on file in the office of the Town Clerk as of October 11, 2019, and available for inspection by any interested person during normal business hours. The Town Board will make every effort to assure that the hearing is accessible to persons with disabilities. Anyone requiring special assistance and/or reasonable accommodations should contact the Town Clerk. By order of the Town Board, Antoinette Kopek, Town Clerk, dated October 24, 2019. So be it.
I would ask that any member of the public who wishes to be recognized and heard by the board, if you would approach the mic and provide your name to the Town Clerk. Anybody wish to talk about the budget? Going once. Can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion on the reports?
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the following reports for October: the Code Compliance, Code Enforcement, and Dog Control Officer, the Environmental Conservation Inspector report for July 14th through October 5th, and the Patterson Fire Department third quarter report. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Would somebody like to make a motion on the supervisor's report? Reports.
Do it, Mary?
I didn't have that.
I have it. Okay. Make a motion that we approve the supervisor's report for, let's start with, I forgot July. Let's start with July. Supervisor report for July in the amount of $8,236,473.95. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the supervisor's report for the month of August 2019 in the amount of $7,712,539.40. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes. Can we get a motion on the minutes?
Make a motion to approve the bid opening minutes for October 7th, 2019, standby generator. Opening minutes for October 16th, 2019, snow removal, sewer, and water districts. October 16th, 2019, winter sidewalks maintenance. Public hearing minutes, October 9th, 2019, zoning self-storage. Public hearing minutes, October 23rd, 2019, 2020 budget. Town board meeting minutes, October 9th, 2019, and town board meeting minutes, October 23rd, 2019. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Somebody like to audit the bills?
That's what I was gonna do, audit the bills. I'd like to make a motion to approve abstract number 20 dated October 25th, 2019 in the amount of $168,948.46. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Councilman D'Andriano, you are at bat.
Okay. First up I have is the first floor copier service contract. So we have a contract here from Neubauer AVP Business Products for the 100K Gold service contract, one-year contract. I'd like to make a motion to approve this contract as written for $1,300. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
If we could take a step back, I did skip over the budget transfers.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve budget transfer number 28 regarding our capital fund, BAN and interest for EMS buildings. So it's the fund balance design capital projects, $4,500. Is this going into the fund, or is this
It's going into.
going into? Okay, for the bond anticipated note interest for $4,500. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
These are the originals.
Oh, yes. I'd like also make a motion to approve budget transfer number 29 regarding the Fox One Run Water District, the water administration equipment and capital outlay for $3,811 to water administration contractual for $3,811. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Next item I have is a safety committee alternate request. We have a memo here from our safety committee chair, Sue Brown. At our last safety committee meeting, we discussed putting on an alternate. So we discussed putting on Dennis Mays as an alternate on the safety committee. We feel that since he's the maintenance, our maintenance building and maintenance, he's on the building and maintenance department, and he would be very valuable. And a lot of the things that we discussed about things around the building and things around town and other buildings. So I think it'd be great. He'd be a great addition to our safety committee. So they can make a motion to add Dennis Mays as an alternate on the Patterson Town Safety Committee. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Next, I have a senior trip request. Seniors are going for the lunch at Mezzaluna on November 20th. So it'll be, the tickets are $50 at $16 each, which would be $800. The seniors are paying $6 each, so $50 people at $6 each is $300. So I'd like to approve our net cost of $500. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That is all I have.
I think we're out of sync without Charlie.
A little bit.
Yeah.
We miss Charlie.
Councilman Rogan.
Okay, first item we discussed last meeting, and Councilman Cook had asked us all to look at the meeting schedule for next year. I don't think any comments have been sent to change the schedule, so at this time I will move to approve the proposed 2020 meeting schedule for the town board and post that on our website, other places as we would normally do so. So moved.
Aye, second.
We also need to have the town clerk advertise that, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So,
Great.
All in favor?
Aye. Hard to comment on a year ahead of time.
Yeah. Well, now you know where you're going to be.
Yes, exactly. We can work around it.
Be a safety issue. Second item is simply to bring the public up to speed on a conversation that has been ongoing, but that we had tonight with our Patterson and Putnam Lake Fire Department with regard to the LOSAP program. For those that you don't know, the LOSAP is the Length of Service Award Program, and essentially it provides a benefit for certain years of service to members of the fire department that are in good standings. And there were some discussions about increasing that benefit in the future to reward people for additional years of service beyond the 20-year mark. And so there's a bit of clarification that we need to get in terms of the process that would be involved in this, but we think it may be something that would have to be put out to public referendum, so the community would have a say in this. And the supervisor is being gracious enough to find out those answers and walk us through this discussion. So just for the public's edification to know that that's something that we've been in discussions with and will continue to update the public with. That's it.
Okay, well, first on my agenda tonight is the 2020 budget. With the close of the public hearing, we are now in a position to adopt a budget if everybody is agreeable. I will first ask if any member of the board has any questions or comments or changes to the budget you wish to discuss or bring forward.
I'd just like to make a comment that I know that this is a lengthy process, and I don't think the meetings that we have here ever fully give credit for the hard work that's done. And so I want to thank you, Rich, for the work that's been put in, and Patricia Brooks, thank you so much for you and your team. And there's been a lot of lengthy discussions, and this, as you've said many times, has not been an easy process. There are a lot of unfunded mandates, and we do not seem to be getting the revenue from areas that we hope we would be getting from things like some commercial development, projects that have been approved but that haven't been built, and we have revenue streams that are down. And so I appreciate all of your hard work, and I know it was not easy, so thank you for that.
It seems to be getting a little bit more difficult every year as well, so, but look forward to next year. Good news is we have a few projects that are starting up, so hopefully that'll help us out a little bit. Mary, anything?
On the budget? No.
Okay, well, having no further discussion, I do have a resolution here for the adoption of the final budget. The board has been presented tonight with the draft final budget. There are no changes from our last discussion, save the one minor modification with the recreation employee. There was a slight adjustment in that. The budget carries an overall increase of 1.81% on the tax levy. So I am very pleased with the budget and with all the hard work that the town board has put into getting us here. So I thank you all for that.
Can you also discuss because last meeting we tabled because of the issue with the prosecution. Can you just mention the outcome of that?
I can, but that's coming up later. There is no impact.
Great. Sorry to steal your thunder.
Yeah, so we're good on that.
Sorry.
Likewise, we are working through some additional issues with Fox Run, but we're going to push them off till next year, and we may end up having to bond some of those. So without further ado, I would like to introduce this resolution for the adoption of the final budget for 2020 and ask the town clerk to enter it into the minutes as though read into the record. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Along with the budget, one of the things that the town board has been working on is a long-term salary schedule. So our employees have some commitment on the part of the board about salary adjustments in the future. Makes it a little bit easier when they get a little bit less, as they have for so many years. Everybody, I believe, has the resolution. Does anybody have any discussions on this?
No, but I, again, appreciate, I think this shows an investment in our employees, which is really our best asset that we have here in the town, so
Absolutely agreed.
I'm all in favor of this process.
So, without any further discussion, I would like to introduce this resolution establishing salary adjustments for compensation for the fiscal years 2021 and 2022. It is a resolution which establishes salaries for many of our employees. There are some qualifications that need to be met in order for those salary compensation levels to be implemented. Can I get a second on that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So, prior to the last town board the last town board meeting, we had received a letter from our district attorney notifying the town that they were going to need to pass on the prosecution of certain misdemeanors and traffic violations to the town as a result of the new laws that have been adopted by New York State regarding discovery. As a result of those laws, the DA's office is going to be hard-pressed to meet the discovery requirements, which require that any opposing counsel has to receive all the documentation on any violation within, any misdemeanor rather, within 15 days. So as a result, the district attorney had requested the town take over misdemeanors. I met with Bob Tendy. It actually amounted to a very small number of additional cases. We were going to be allowed to take those cases into our traditional B&T nights, so that it wasn't going to require our DA, our prosecutor, to attend any additional court nights, as well as they were going to give our prosecutor the latitude to plead the cases as he saw fit, which will allow him to, if it's appropriate, plead those cases down to charges where the town may receive additional revenue. So there is some benefit to us. There are a couple of additional steps. The DA has to send over a letter to the judges and get their sign off on our prosecutor prosecuting these misdemeanors, but does not see that as a problem, as our prosecutor was formerly associated with the DA's office. So that being the case, there is no real financial impact to the town for taking these on. And I've also had this conversation with our prosecutor, Anders Gill, who does not see an issue with his taking these on, especially since currently the number of transactions being processed by Anders Gill, has dropped significantly. So this will plug some of those holes. So without objection, we will just move forward and take this on and assist our Putnam County District Attorney and go from there.
Great.
Any questions?
That's starting January 1, or?
Well,
Yep.
I had encouraged DA Tendy to start it as of January 1st. They were still working out some of the logistics. He wasn't exactly sure when it was going to start. So, moving on to bulk pickup. I think some of this needs to be discussed in executive session, certainly, but a couple of weekends ago, we had bulk pickup on, actually last weekend, seems like more than then, October 28th. And when the Carter, who the town is under contract with, was finished, there were a number of houses who hadn't had everything picked up. Now, I can tell you this year, we knew we were, especially from last year, that there may be some issues. So I did arm a couple of vehicles with dash cameras that went out and drove every road in Putnam Lake prior to the pickup and then again after, as well as going out and taking numerous photographs. So we have a clear record about what was done. And I am still going through and reviewing those and working up the details about what was picked up, what was not picked up, and what should have been picked up. But there were about 77 homes that we had highway go over and finish cleaning up the debris that was put out. And there is a cost with that we are going to have to pay back to highway. No ifs, ands, or buts. But the question is, what are we going to do about the Carter? And I think that's a legal discussion that needs to be done in executive session about all of these houses. Clearly, some of the houses put out more than the allowed 3 cubic yards of bulk material. I had property owners acknowledge that they had done that. They had put out things that they did not get proper permits for. So there are some clear cases where the Carter was within his rights not to pick up all or some of the bulk pickup. But I don't believe that is the case with all of them. The question is, what are we gonna do? And, you know, Russ being efficient, sometimes is too efficient, went out and picked up the remaining items at a not great cost to the town. So, with that, I will table any further discussion till later on when we can get a legal opinion about what our legal avenue may be for addressing the shortfall. All right?
Also considering this is, every year it's been an issue with the...
Every year has been an issue, and, you know, it's been different issues every year, but it's not getting any better, and we have one more full year with this Carter. I will say that when it comes time to redo the contract, that we will be having discussions that I will bring forward about different methods to handle bulk pickup in Putnam Lake to alleviate this problem, because every year it's a problem. So,
Is there any way that when we put the bid out to them that we can have payments deferred till after this is taken care of, or that we can hold payment back?
we can request a separate price for doing bulk pickup so that we can withhold that payment if it's not done properly. We can take it right out of the contract and either do it in-house or do it with, you know, a second contract, which might be a better way to go if we
Yeah.
do it with a second contract.
Yeah, that sounds-
We also need to talk about the 3 cubic yards as a limit.
Do we have a limit for the town side, for District 2?
Same thing, it's 3 cubic yards. After 3 cubic yards, you can pay for a second bulk pickup.
Mhm.
So there is a cost over here. You know, we can do that. Right now, we, you know, schedule on this side of town, you can call into the sanitation department and schedule a bulk pickup any time of the year that you feel you need it. You're allowed 1 bulk pickup at no charge. Putnam Lake, we've decided that, and this is the way it's been done for years over there, that we are going to pick one day and everybody is going to be putting their refuse out on that one day to be picked up. There are pros and cons to doing it that way. Certainly, there's a reduced cost to the town for picking up because there are a number of scavengers that go through and pick up items, especially metal. Unfortunately, metal right now is at an all-time low, so I don't know that there was a lot of metal that was left out there. But yes, we can. All right, last item on my agenda is appraisals. I've gone out and solicited pricing for the appraisals of 2 pieces of property. As the background for this, again, working with the East of Hudson watershed in looking to alleviate erosion problems over in the Putnam Lake area, which is contributing to the decline of the Putnam Lake. We've identified a piece of land that the town actually owns, which we could install a stormwater retrofit practice. In evaluating the property, though, there is an adjacent piece of property that if we combined it in with what the town owns, would be beneficial to providing a better treatment practice. So the town owns that parcel.
The start.
And the stream kind of comes down through it.
So we want this
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
So we're looking at potentially purchasing that property. I've had conversations with the property owner who is willing to work with the town on a price for the property. But we do need to get a couple of appraisals if we're going to move forward. Now, having said that, there may be an opportunity as well to encourage the East of Hudson Watershed Corporation to purchase the property and give it back to the town, or at least pay the town to purchase the property. I'm currently having discussions. The East of Hudson Watershed has never purchased a piece of property to date, but this may be the first. So, but in order to do that, we need to get a couple of appraisals, and I have estimates here. The first one is from Barbara Bashirs in the amount of $350, and the second one is from Peter Fischer in the amount of $300 to appraise the value of the property. And I would like to approve both appraisers to submit appraisals to the town for the amounts that I've just so stated. So moved.
Second?
Discussion?
You want both, because you want to be able to
Compare the two, yeah.
Okay. Not a lot of money, so.
What was the second name? Peter?
Peter Flucher.
And Barbara Bashirs?
I heard Barbara's name.
Okay.
Peter's last name.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Mary, you're up.
So the first item on my agenda are recreation requests from Mr. Matt Chabarro. Matt is interested in getting a high school basketball league together, and he'll be working in conjunction with the Southeast Rec. The players will be in grades 10 through 12, and they will be playing these games over at Brewster School's gymnasiums. This will be a 10-week session, and the scheduling of games and officials will be handled by the Southeast Recreation Department. The fee per player would be $160, and the registration fee will cover the cost of the officials and the gym time. All players and teams must be registered by November 22nd, so we need to start promoting as soon as possible. So it looks like it'll be a cost of approximately $72.50 per Patterson Rec team per game. So I think this is a great idea. And I'd like to make a motion to approve the high school basketball league in conjunction with Southeast Recreation Department. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Second, Mr. Matt Chabarro would like to hire Christian Maury and Nicholas Pappas as junior staff members for the Town of Patterson Rec Department at the rate of $9.25 per hour. Let me see. For the winter season, so I'd like to make a motion to approve both Christian and Nicholas for $9.25 per hour as junior staff members, pending that all paperwork will be submitted before the start of the employment. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so I guess we've incurred some fees for the error with the tax handling in the tax receiver's office. So we're looking to request a reimbursement from the county for the fees that it costs to bring on the additional staff to help out Mary, who worked so hard to take care of all of that for us. So I'd like to make a motion to request for reimbursement from Putnam County, the amount of $6,253.31. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we will get that over.
Okay. What else do I have? Oh, and executive session, we'll defer to the end of the meeting for a legal issue.
Okay, does any town board member have any other business?
Just an announcement. Councilman Cook made me promise to read this in the meeting, although I realize it's for the 5 members of the audience and the people here, because by the time this airs, it will have passed. But Councilman Cook would like me to let you know that 1944 is coming to Patterson, New York Recreation Center on November 9th, 2019. Step back through time to the golden age of swing in the 1940s World War II themed dinner dance. So essentially this is at the Rec Center. It is November 9th. I understand that tickets for dinner have actually sold out, but there are general admission tickets for dancing, which is from 7 to 11 p.m., $25 per person at the door. So if you need any more information, 878-7106. So that's it.
You have this.
He made me read that. He said,
Do you want to take care of that?
Charlie also.
Well, I'm not
You
sure.
touch it, you own it.
What do you got?
Well, I'm not sure what, this was Sean's,
Okay.
actually.
Oh. All right,
Somehow
so
someone
before,
slipped it to
before
me.
we get to that, Counselor, we've got 2 consent order and judgments for tax certiorari's. Do we need to do these tonight? I would assume. They just came in.
They were settlements or
Yes. You want to look at them?
I haven't seen them.
We need to get that done tonight, do we not? Excuse me?
I had to do the calcs for Jamie for tonight, so I'm pretty sure it was for tonight.
Everybody has them?
No.
The orders and consent?
Yes.
Everybody has them in their folder?
No.
Yeah, it would be good if they could take a look at them.
Yeah, I think this came, I didn't, she had sent an email.
So this goes with it. So I just assumed everybody had it. Sorry.
I don't think so. I think I just missed her email. She sent an email with them, right?
Do you want to go back to where you were?
Yeah, I'll take care of this.
Go for it.
So we have a letter here from the pastor, David Frost, of the Patterson Community Church. Mr. Frost is requesting and letting us know that he's sold Christmas trees in the town for a number of years and apply each year for the proper permit in order to do so. They set up a tree yard across the driveway from the church sanctuary on the north side of Route 311. This letter is a formal request for a waiver of the usual fees associated with the permitting process, including the $25 permit fee, as well as the site restoration deposit of $150. We have never had an issue with the restoration, and this would help us in our attempts to continue to serve our community. Thank you for your kind consideration of this matter. So I think it was about 1 or 2 meetings ago, we were advised by our council that to waive these permit fees would be a gifting of tax-paying dollars, so that we were advised not to do this moving forward. So my personal opinion is that we can't waive the permit fee, because if we do it, we have to do it for everyone, and then we're just putting ourselves back in the same boat as we were advised not to. So $25 is a small, very small fee to ask for. I would say that I would personally be willing to waive the site restoration deposit, because it's only money that we're just going to be taking and turning back over to them, and is a bit of an inconvenience, and we've never had any issue or had to hold deposit. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
Okay. So, motion or no?
If you would like to make a motion.
So, I'm going to make a motion to collect the $25 permit fee for the site, as we will be doing moving forward for anyone else making these requests, and waive the restoration deposit of $150. So moved?
Second for discussion.
Okay.
The only discussion point I want to make on this, because I don't disagree with your line of logic, is that we wanted to clarify the last meeting, we made the distinction based on council's assessment of this situation, unless there is a greater benefit to the community. And I'm probably not getting the words right, but essentially we use the example of a free concert at the rec center, and that's something that's so I think that is something that we want to reiterate in terms of one possible reason we may issue a waiver. This maybe doesn't meet that criteria, but so I'm just, I wanted to just really bring that in.
Yeah, and I would say this doesn't, because it's for a certain group.
No, that's fine. That's why I was
It's
just
not the
making the
entire
distinction
community. Yes.
between the two, because we did consider one recently, and that was the discussion point was the greater
Benefit to the community.
yeah, the greater benefit to the community, and providing this free service. People come to a concert, etc. And so that's all.
Yeah, just to clarify going forward, so people, if we do approve a waiver of fee for something else going down the road, they'll understand.
Yeah, and that was why I wanted to get that on the record. Yeah.
And I'll make sure that I promote anyone purchasing a tree that they go over to
There you
the
go.
Patterson.
Well, be
Community
careful,
church.
because we've got competing interests here with the fire
Yes, we
department.
do,
That's
but
right.
we do have, other things that we're gonna do over there, hot cocoa and Santa and all that stuff, so.
All right,
On a different day.
I just want to chime in that I agree with what you said, Mary.
Okay.
I think you did a very good job in expressing that, what the attorneys said, as well as Sean. And I agree with that criteria as well. And, it's unfortunate, for many years, the board was able to give out, waivers to some of these organizations unfortunately, as time went by, more and more people requested the waiver. It became a real problem, which resulted in actually getting a legal opinion as to whether we could continue to do it. And unfortunately, we are where we are. So with that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. While we are waiting here, is there any member of the public who wishes to be recognized on any topic? Who would like to approach the board? Give your name for the town clerk.
Supervisor Board. My name is Scott Seaman. I'm here from the Brewster School Board. We're trying to reach out more to get out to the community, to be more communicative of the people who we serve. So we just want to we're going to make attempts to come to more board meetings. And if there's anything informational, we'll try to get out to you. If there's something that you believe that the town and through the school needs to know, please feel free to reach out. We do have a new superintendent that just started with us in July. And I believe she's forming a key communicators panel where she'll be reaching out to community groups as well to keep you in the loop and keep you informed. So I just wanted to come up here, say hello. I'm sorry it took so long to get up here, you know. It's a long trip from Brewster up here to Patterson, but, you know, we'll try to be up here more often. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, that's great.
As a matter of fact, I have to drive back to Brewster tonight.
Want to ride?
I don't know, where are you going?
Whatever you need.
I think that's phenomenal. I think, you know, having that connection with the school boards and communicating with them, I think that's
No,
that's a really good
listen,
thing.
I think we do need more communication and more interaction. I will tell everybody, a week ago this past Monday, myself and our head of building and maintenance and Allied Pollution Control, John Muro, we were out with one of the classes over at Brewster, teaching them all about water and wastewater. And the second year we've done that is a great opportunity. And
I want to thank you for that as well. My
Yeah.
actual daughter and son were in that class, and they did, besides the fact that it smelled, they had a great time. And the teacher, she couldn't speak well enough about how you were bending over backwards to let them do this last year as well. And they look forward to doing this in the future.
yeah,
Great.
it's always a little difficult for me. I get stormwater, and that's not a very exciting topic. But I'm glad they enjoyed it.
Good.
So, okay, do we have them? I was paying attention to other things. You passed them all out?
I just handed
Everybody has them?
I don't
I
have
just
that.
No,
handed it to him.
They didn't make their way down the table.
Yes, I did. I just handed them to you.
Don't mind.
To me?
Didn't I?
Well, okay, I've got them. I've got them. There we go.
Guys are
This is
making
what
me
happens. I'm
crazy
paying
tonight.
attention to other things. Okay. So, we have two tax certiorari's, consent judgments to settle those. The first one is between Karen Garrawal and we're going from a total assessment of $380,100 down to $349,000, a reduction of $31,100. The fiscal impact is $820.98 to the schools. Do we have an address on this?
Here's the tax line.
Would be helpful if we knew which school. Carmel Central School District, you're off the hook.
That's okay.
Yeah. $207.36 to the town and $96.09 to the county.
You want the address?
No. All right, so I'd like to make a motion to approve this consent order and judgment. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the second consent judgment on a tax certiorari is for Paul Mass. This is in the Brewster School District. Yeah, I do know where this one is. And we are reducing the 2019 assessment from $729,700 to $625,000, a reduction of $104,700. And on this one, the impact to the fiscal impact to the schools would be $2,247.89. To the town would be $698.09. To the county would be $323.48. So, I'd like to make a motion to approve this consent judgment for Paul Moss.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
All right, and that concludes the other business. Anybody else have anything else? Joe Downey?
My name is Joe Downey, 149 Stagecoach Road in Patterson. Every year, at this time of the year, we start to see trees fall on power lines when we get a little weather. And I see it a lot where I live. I live up top of Birch Hill, and there's it's primarily vacant land where people don't take care of their shrubbery, let it overgrow, and eventually the trees fall, and they take out the power. And I think that it should be considered to be looked at, and maybe some sort of a performance committee or something. I'd be interested in being part of that if something were to be formed, where maybe people from this town would go to a different town, and another town would come to here and ride around and basically point out certain property that the trees should be trimmed before they fall on the power lines. I mean, for example, right on my road, everybody seems to take care of their property. So when the trees come, take out the power lines, for instance, in a bad weather, it's never on my front lawn or my neighbors, because we all trim our trees. But it's these certain people who own a lot of property, and they don't seem to care. So it might be something to be considered, to be looked at. And it's not just in our town. I mean, I have a friend who lives in Putnam Valley, and it's all over the place. It's should be looked at.
Yeah, that's a good point. Besides NYSEG's lack of response,
It's
the power lines down, but a lot of the power lines do go down because of mostly vacant properties, or people who buy property and hold on to it and
Yep.
don't take care of it, and then
exactly, and
knocking down the power.
I hear it a lot where people will say the town owns the right of way, so they should trim the trees. Well, I don't know how people would feel if the town just came in and said, all right, well, we're going to trim back 25 feet, anything that is considered to be a potential hazard to fall on the power line. Because one day it's going to fall on somebody's car when they're driving by. Just, in Brewster, last year, a customer of mine was driving on North Brewster Road, and she had a tree fall on her car while she was driving it. And, it's surprising, because North Brewster Road, everybody, there's no vacant land there where people don't take care of their property.
Does
But,
NYSEG trim around the wires? Don't they do that?
Since the May 15th storm, they have been actively trimming around the wires again. We haven't seen tree trimming crews in Patterson in many, many years, but
Yeah.
with that May 15th storm, they're actively back. There's two parts to that, what you were just referring to. One is the highway department is responsible for removing trees that are hazardous to the roads, while NYSEG is responsible for removing trees and trimming their trees which could potentially be hazardous to their wires, and they have criteria which they use. Right now, I believe the criteria is they're trimming either 12 or 15 feet around the wires. They have been talking about going to a blue sky policy, which is everything under the wires, all the way up. But that's pretty radical. It's pretty dramatic. In the
Do they
clear.
check the whole tree or just the branches over?
They only, and this is one of the problems I have with NYSEG. NYSEG does have a professional on staff in this area, in the Brewster, area, a forester, to actually go around and look at trees. But they're only looking at, again, the trees that may impact the wires that are within about 15 feet of the circumference of the wires. I know right across the street from my house, they came in a couple of years ago and they trimmed all the trees and left a dead tree hanging over the wires because it was outside of that 15-foot radius. You know, as you're all aware, the president of NYSEG has been having a series of meetings over the past few years, to talk about a lot of these issues, and issues such as, when NYSEG trims a tree, if it's a fairly large tree, they will just leave all the logs there for either the town or the property owner to get rid of, instead of, cleaning everything up the whole mess that they create. So that is a problem. Joey, I commend you for a novel concept. There's, I see some inherent problems. One is, being a past licensed arborist, I, would have a problem with lay people running around trying to evaluate whether a tree is or is not safe.
I mean, there's trees that it's obvious they need to come down, and the property owners really need to take ownership of their property rather than wait for somebody else to do it. Because if NYSEG were to say, or the town were to say, oh, we're going to trim back 50 feet, it's our 50 feet, you're going to have a fight on the other side of it.
Mm-hmm.
So the property owners should be put on notice that, hey, every time it snows, that your trees fall on the power lines. I mean, I can give you one perfect example. When you go up the top of Birch Hill, maybe like 300 feet before the end of Birch Hill where it meets Stagecoach, the guy on the right, seems like every year he's got a tree that drops on the lines, right? I mean, there was a big one that dropped on the lines probably like a mile before the top just this past storm. I mean, and that's a big property owner there. There's the guy who owns a lot of property, and they should be notified, and that sooner or later it's going to come down to, God forbid, tree falls down, roads blocked, then you got a real medical emergency, and all because somebody didn't take care of the property.
But in reality, the only way you're going to guarantee that trees are not going to come down and take wires down is to cut the trees back, so that
Sure.
the trees, if they do go over, can't reach the wires.
The property owner should take care of his property.
We're talking,
really
talking
should be at
cutting
least.
trees back from the edge of the road 50, 60 feet.
Mhm.
That would substantially change the look of this town.
The better option, of course,
Yeah.
going back to our
Yeah.
planning board days, is getting all these wires underground.
It's
If we go back 100 years, though, if we go back 100 years, I mean, I wasn't here, none of us were here 100 years ago, but it was farmland, and then the power lines were there, and there was never a problem. But over time, these people converted their land into, hey, I just want to own it.
Yeah.
And, I would think that it would be maybe time to put some people on notice. Thank you.
The concern, I like the essence of your idea, Joe. It sounds great, but I also see a lot of potential problems with it. I can think of people that own large frontage on their properties, and they maybe like to think they maintain them, and there's lots of trees right along the wires. The concern I would have is that all of a sudden lay people who don't have the skills decide, I'm going to take that tree down, rather than hire a competent contractor. And as your case in point, they are all along by the wires. Because if it wasn't along the wires, almost anybody could go and drop the tree. If it was just an issue of, if it falls, it's going to block the road, heck, I'd cut them down myself. But most of the ones I see, they are threatened by the wires, and you wouldn't go near them because you're afraid of the hazard. But if it was somebody saying, you have to take this down, they try to do it themselves to save money or something. There's a lot of concerns I have. Instead of pushing NYSEG or the appropriate authority to do their job, and maybe you point that out, and then we look at NYSEG doing their job and getting a tree crew out there to do the protective nature.
where I would prefer to focus our energy is encouraging NICEAG and/or the Public Service Commission
Do their job.
to actually have sufficient staffing within the Brewster Yard,
Yeah.
so that when we do have an event, a small event like we had a few days ago, that they can respond. I mean, you know, Pete sent me an email, I wasn't aware because, you know, I was coming in the back way, I knew we didn't have power, but that tree was down for 10 hours before NICEAG got a tree truck there to start clearing it up. Birch Hill, it was like 14, 15 hours. We had 3 roads blocked, 3 roads from a minor windstorm. The third property didn't get cleaned up for 24 hours so that people could get in and out of that road. And it was a dead-end road, and that's absolutely unexcusable.
Sure,
And
there's,
emergency services weren't even able to contact NICEAG. That was an issue too.
Yeah,
They, you know, they have a special emergency services line, then they weren't even, NICEAG wasn't even answering. And emergency services around Putnam County needed to contact them for priority dispatch to certain locations. I'm sorry.
oh, okay, sorry. There's lots of trees that doesn't take an expert to say, hey, look, that thing's gonna come down. I mean, I work in Pauling, and on, it's Corbin Road, there's a tree that's dead, that's right on the other side of the guardrail, that's not anywhere near the power lines. Maybe like 6 weeks ago, I called one of the highway guys, and I said, you know, that probably ought to come down. I told him exactly where the tree was. The tree's still there. You know, I don't want to say blame the highway guys, but it's somebody's property. It's not the town's or the village's property. And all I'm saying is there's trees that are obviously, you know, it'd take a real expert to remove it. But then there's other stuff that in 3 years from now, that's going to be a problem, but now you could handle it. Might just be something to consider, that you know, certain property owners should be put on notice. Hey, you know, this is going to be a problem, and then it's going to cost somebody a bigger amount. You might want to, you know, that's all. Thank you.
Would there be a way where this group that Joe's talking about would be just kind of identifying and pointing out to us trees that, so this way whoever would be responsible for removing them, so this group wouldn't be making the decision saying, hey, these trees have to go and you have to move them. There would be just kind of identifying them so someone else can come along and then make the real decision, say, yeah, that tree's, you know, instead of someone going around.
It would have to be that way. My concern, and I'll kick this over to Don, is that once we've designated a group to go around and start evaluating trees to take them down, and the group identifies this tree as a questionable tree, and we don't take it down, what's our liability?
There are a lot of liability issues in what is being discussed. I don't know, my thoughts are, I kind of analogize it to some of the steps the town board took, the bamboo law, the laws with regard to removing unsafe buildings. I think that unlike those, and despite the fact that to even lay people from Brooklyn like me probably can point out a dangerous looking tree, where is the tipping point? Where are you encroaching on someone's private rights to keep trees the way they want them to be? Who's the arbiter of those things? So that's one potential problem with instituting any type of systematic notice. Another is, and maybe on the side of what you're lobbying for, is that once a landowner is put on notice, then that landowner's potential liability becomes a little bit more concrete. Like someone telling someone, you know, putting notice that there's a crack in a sidewalk, or there's a problem with the storm drain out on Front Street. So there's one practical impact is if people do get notice, they may really heed that notice, because they then could potentially have increased liability. The town could incur some potential liability by someone claiming that whatever entity went out to inspect trees was negligent because they didn't actually see this other tree that really should have been noted. So that is an issue that would be one to grapple with on this. So I just think we're in an area that would be very difficult to legislate on because of the standards and because of the potential encroachment on people's rights. And they may say, we want those trees to be there. That keeps lights from shining into my home, and that gives me privacy that I, moved here for. So it's a very kind of delicate type of process to put into effect, so.
I also would have a problem with us requiring private property owners to remove trees to the benefit of NYSEG to maintain their wires, when it is clearly the responsibility of NYSEG.
Not just a responsibility, but also they inherent in virtually all of the easement documents that provide for the lines. That's one of the places where the 15 feet shows up regularly. So they have pre-printed easements that allow them to maintain the line within 15 feet generally of maintaining the property within 15 feet of a line. So not only would it be their responsibility, but they also have the right and authority to take those steps.
Right.
Unlike the town, that would be on potentially delicate constitutional ground to come up with some kind of difficult to enforce standard for when a property owner would have to remove the tree. So I do agree that it's you're being proactive, Joe, in pointing out the problem, but the remedy is really something I think difficult for the town to implement easily. And I think maybe just staying on NYSEG and encouraging them to really look at this as one potential thing, maybe a letter to them to point it out. So.
Well, maybe we'll want to at some point have a further discussion about, NYSEG's tree trimming policy, whether they're just trimming 15 feet around the wires, or, we want to encourage them to go to a blue sky policy, which is certainly, safer for the wires. Doesn't look as nice in the community, but it is certainly safer for the wires.
It's not just the wires, though, it's the people. And I mean, I believe that somebody was killed, a family was killed, or a few family members were killed within the past month or two, maybe in Westchester. It was something on the news very recently.
Yeah.
And it's maybe NYSEG didn't do their job of enforcing or trimming trees 25 years ago, whereas now, I'll give the example of the property owner on Birds Hill Road. Now he's got trees that are overgrown, and whose fault is it? The property owner didn't manage his property properly, and NYSEG didn't enforce it. So really, maybe NYSEG is the bad guy here, that they should have enforced, hey, imagine if my tree started to grow up and...
Joe, I'm gonna cut you off.
Thank you.
You either need to get up to the mic,
Okay.
because we're gonna have trouble picking it up.
Okay.
You don't have to stop, you just have to stand up.
Go to
and
the
give
mic.
that. It's not that we don't want to hear what you have to
I
say.
think maybe NYSEG has been at fault, from what I'm gathering of what you're saying, sir, for not enforcing certain property owners to either trim their trees, their shrubbery that turned into a big tree now, or...
Yeah, they just it's a delicate area when we're talking about it, because you're talking about property rights, you're talking about what NYSEG's obligations are. NYSEG really does not typically administer and its easements and its lines by telling landowners what they do on their property.
It's not all about the wires, though, in NYSEG, though. It's like I said, it's safety of people driving the car past the tree, and that is certainly more priority than power lines.
Understood. NYSEG has the right to maintain its lines and keep trees clear. And the problem is bigger than even that, because obviously you could have a 50-foot tree that's 30 feet away from the lines, and it could cause the same problem. So that's what makes it a difficult thing to...
I don't think the town should have to come and I don't expect the town to have to come and trim the trees on my property just because they have the right of way. It's my tree. I should take good care of my trees so that other people don't have to do it. But is there anything in the building code that would support taking care of your shrubbery that would potentially turn into a big tree that could fall on I mean, last week, a neighbor, I mean, a customer of mine, it lives in Pauling, had a neighbor's tree fall on his car, fall over the property line under his car, and it's not much different here. The tree falls onto the road as somebody passes by, and it's going to happen sooner or later. There's a lot of, you know, a lot of trees. I'm not saying that the amateur should go out and say, hey, you need to trim your trees, you need to trim your trees. I mean, I wouldn't want to go tell my neighbor that this tree could fall on something. It's a beautiful oak tree in front of your house. I would probably say, hey, I should go to a different town if I were to be on some committee that would just point out trees that I think are bad, but, you know.
Just in answer to your question, I'm not, there is in New York State what's called a property maintenance code, and that is one of the regulatory tools that could be used, but it do not, I don't
doesn't address
recall,
trees.
it doesn't extend to, you know, vegetation and trees and the like. That's more buildings that are in an unsafe condition.
It talks about grass, but it doesn't go much further than that.
So,
Should it be something that should be considered? Maybe, you know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Was that a motion?
Second.
Yeah. Motion to go into
Sean made a
executive
motion.
session.
Second.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming.